Hey guys, this is Comic Uno, and today I'm doing Comic Uno's Best Comics of the Week, and this is the show where I review all the comics I've read this week in one show. We go least favorite to best pick of the week and everything in between. And before I get started, I do have a Kickstarter going on for my comic, The Dancer. It's about dancer/assassin, and when she was little, she witnessed her parents being murdered in front of her and never dealt with that trauma until now. So hopefully you guys could go check that one out. And of course, at the end of the video, we talk about the viewer's pick of the week, so in the comments below, be sure to let me know your pick of the week so you have a chance to be featured on the episode. Now let's jump into this week's haul. I had a pretty small haul this week with 8 books, but it'll be even smaller next week because there's like no books coming out next week. But let's start talking about this week's books. And number 8 for me was one I kind of was planning on dropping, but it was the only DC book I got this week, so I was like, all right, let me give it another shot, and that is Detective Comics issue 1063, and this is Ron V's run on Detective Comics. I've never really gotten into a Ron V book, so that's why I picked up the first issue, because I've heard really good things about his writing. And I think because Batman is so good right now, there's just a part of me that says, yeah, this is fine, and if you like detective gritty, almost gothic storytelling, you'll probably like this. I don't think there's anything that really shines or makes it different than anything we've seen before with Batman. But if you like this vibe, I think you'll enjoy it. But I'm just enjoying the Batman series a lot more right now, and I don't feel the pressure to get this because I am enjoying another Batman series. So overall, I gave this 2 stars. If you like Two-Face, you get a little bit of a story with him here. It's gritty, and I just couldn't get into it. So that is number 8. And moving on to number 7, which is another book. I feel like I'm going to say this a lot. I just kind of got because it was a low week. And that's Damage Control issue 1. I will say I was a little bit more on the fence with this one in the good way, more like I was gonna get it, because the other one I'm just like, okay, yeah, I don't have any DC books. I should probably read Detective Comics. This one, when it was announced, I was like, oh, that sounds interesting if it's a light week. And it was a light week, so I got it. And again, I feel like we've seen this story before. Damage Control actually is a series that has existed before, and if you're a fan of the Goldbergs, which I don't watch, but if you're a fan of like sitcom television, you definitely get that vibe here, which I enjoyed. I like that there was this sitcom-y vibe, and I liked that we got to see some random appearances of like She-Hulk or Ghost Rider, but I've seen it before. I've seen this story. I don't think they added any new elements in any regard. I don't know if I felt invested to the main character. It very much felt like powerless to me. So if you enjoy that sitcom, go check it out. I think it'll definitely fill that void. But if you're looking for something really fresh, I don't know if this one did it for me. The artwork was fun though, and there's definitely a lot of good comedic beats through the visuals, which is, I guess there is a rarity of comedic books. So it was nice that Marvel's trying to, fit that mold here. So overall, giving this 2.5 stars, and that is number 7. Moving on to number 6, which is Spider-Gwen Gwenverse, issue 5, a book, I love Spider-Gwen, so I'm going to pick it up. And I do think this was one of the stronger issues out of the 5. I really loved issue 1. I thought issue 1 was great. We got into Gwen's psyche, and the middle of the series was very action-y and very like, okay, do we necessarily need this series? They're just continuing to do multiverses because they can, and it's popular. And then we kind of got back to the theme in this issue of like, okay, how does Gwen feel about herself, because she's fighting alongside herself. And I don't know if it really dug deep into that thesis, but at least it was here. I enjoyed that aspect. I didn't love this issue. I don't think you have to run out to get this miniseries. I've read better Spider-Gwen series, and I wish there was an ongoing book or more character development for her, but I think there was a little bit more in this issue than the previous ones. So overall, giving that 2.5 stars, and that is number 6. Moving on to number 5, another book I don't know if I would have gotten if it was a bigger week, and that is Minor Threats, issue 1. This is by Patton Oswalt, who is a big comic fan, but also an actor, and has been in many of your favorite superhero stuff. And, I want to try it out. I think that's a really cool concept. We've been seeing a lot of celebrities do comics, but Patton has very much been vocal about how much he's liked comics and how he supports comics. So I wanted to support him back. And, I thought this was a fun series. I don't know if it was necessarily for me. It's about this girl who's been a convict and has meta powers and kind of trying to figure out what life is. It kind of, a lot of mentions of this theme in like Orange is the New Black, where it's like, okay, when they get out of jail, what can you do? Can you, how do you live life again? And we kind of get that gist here, and we get definitely the meta aspect as well. And then there's a family aspect and this idea of always feeling like you had to do this, because of the powers and because of her family. Her mother also stole things. So I think it built an interesting character, but not enough to say, oh my God, I can't wait to read issue 2. The artwork was solid. I liked the ideas. I just didn't feel as connected to the series. So overall, I gave this 3 stars. I think it was an interesting start to the series and had some interesting concepts here. So like I said, that's number 5. Now moving on to number 4, which is The Amazing Spider-Man issue 8. A little higher than it's been. I thought this was a pretty good action issue. I'm not a big fan of John Romita Jr.'s art, but I feel like his style was very kinetic here. I think the actual movements of the action were good, even if I didn't love the style. And, we get to see some classic villain interaction as well, but the villain's feeling a little bit more developed, not that they're not developed characters, but we get to see a little progression with their plot, where Vulture is upset with Spider-Man because he's losing his granddaughter because of miscommunication. And then we also get to see, should we trust Norman? Should we not trust Norman? And that's where Peter's at. I do think he trusts Norman a little too easily with everything he's done in his life, but this is a new version of him after Sin Eater, and that's been interesting to see, because this is, I won't say we have never seen them team up, but we never seen it like this, which has definitely been an interesting story. So overall, I gave this 3 stars. I don't think it's the best issue of Spider-Man, but I think it's in a better direction. So that is number 4. Moving on to number 3, which is the last issue of Dan Slott's Fantastic Four run, which overall I've really enjoyed. I didn't love the last arc, but this the story's been really solid for me, and I really think that Dan ties up some good loose ends here. We get to see more story with the sister. I do think they made it a little hard for them to get together, which I liked. And then in the end, maybe it was too easy for them to get together and, be a family. But I enjoyed seeing the other loose ends kind of tie up as well, like Johnny having his powers back to normal, getting a little bit from Ben and Alicia's family, and just the family dynamic in general. I think what shines in the Fantastic Four is when you get those slice of life moments, and you really do get some good moments here. Even though there are definitely moments that feel rushed, I enjoyed all the moments, and even the science fiction aspect, it just felt like a very good backdrop with Cafu's artwork, which is stunning for this book. I hope we get to see the sister again. I hope this is not just here's the sister, there's never a story with her, because they built up to it and you're like, okay, cool, is the next run gonna do anything with her? So that's definitely a worry, but overall I had a good time with it, and I thought it was a pretty solid ending. I don't think it blew my mind by any means, but it was a solid ending to I think one of the stronger Fantastic Four runs in the past decade. So giving that 3.5 stars, and that is number 3. Moving on to number 2, which is Radiant Black issue 17, I believe we're up to. Yeah, we're up to issue 17, and we got a little bit of Radiant Yellow here, a character, probably the character out of all of them that we haven't seen a lot of, and we don't know a lot about him. His powers have to do with time. That definitely is involved in this issue. I don't really care about the villain, so, those sections were a little slow for me, but I really enjoyed Nathan and Marshall in this issue, because we're getting to see the Radiant Black mythology expand, where we actually get to see them both play as Radiant Black, and the way it's shown in the art, it's not just them having the full suit. You actually get to see half the suit, or one of them has the full suit and then one of them doesn't, and just their tag team I thought really worked here. As we get a bigger cliffhanger with Radiant Yellow saying, because they're doing this, the Earth might not be safe. So there's definitely a lot of layers there as well. So I liked what this did with the bigger mythology and with Nathan and Marshall in particular. Artwork is pretty solid as well. I don't think there was any huge shining moments when it wasn't the action side, but the action was really good. Like I said, I liked seeing the diversity of how the costume was shown. So overall, giving that 3.5 stars, and that is number 2. Moving on to number 1, and that's Rogues Gallery issue 2. I don't think I reviewed issue 1 because I didn't have a show that week, but I loved Rogues Gallery issue 1. It's just my aesthetic. I enjoy meta commentary and especially celebrity commentary, and this issue does that and hits it out of the ballpark. Where we get to see this girl who is an actress who is the lead actor of this big superhero show and who genuinely loves the character, genuinely loves the comics, and is kind of fighting against the tide saying, hey, let's be more comic accurate. And then we saw in issue 1 the other side saying, oh, we hate her, she's doing this show that's not comic accurate. And, she could just never win. She has to deal with that, and we get to see how that affects her personal relationships. But I also love that she actually does have this core group of people. So she has her husband, she has her assistant. Do we trust them? Who knows? It is a horror book. I really love the setup. And then obviously the cliffhanger from last issue is that these teens or these kids want to hurt her because of what happened with the show. So the social media stuff, which really comes to a head here, how anxious she gets with it, is literally coming to her doorstep, which is such an interesting concept and great build up. And I love how they broke it up. I like that we didn't really get to see her in issue 1. We got one side, and now this side we get to see in issue 2. I'm guessing in issue 3 we're gonna just see the all-out battle. But really well done issue from art to writing. I'm really having a good time with this one. So overall, giving that 4.5 stars. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno. Let me know in the comments below what your pick of the week was. And in the comments, you answered that question last week. And that was Dark Spaces. And here are some comments about that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.